farmer's market just off 3rd Street Promenade to show you how to pick out the fresh produce and help you guys with questions to ask next time you go to the farmer's market. So let's go ahead and join. Okay. So what makes the Santa Monica Farmers Market so unique?
Well, I think what separates this market from, I would say, most of the other markets I've ever been to in California is the fact that we have never lost our focus on the produce and the farmers. As you walk around this market, you're going to see only farmers. And that's a concept that's sort of so old that it's new. We are strictly focusing on produce and farmers, and the farmers have become more and more committed and experimental in what they grow. And the feedback and the back and forth between the farmers and the customers has led to, I think, more and more experimental, rare, and highly perishable items you can find at this market that you literally are not going to find anywhere else. The currants, for example, that this farmer brings in, they're extremely perishable, really commercially non-viable. But because the customers want them, and because there's enough of a niche here just among the customers that she's already developed, she can bring those in, and to everybody's delight, you can find something here that you cannot find anywhere else.
So, what sort of advice do you have for them if they're new to the farmer's market?
The first piece is just be brave and look at it as anything, you know, jumping into the pool, just go for it. The other thing is use all your senses. It's about looking and smelling and seeing and hearing and tasting. Are there people buying? Do people seem engaged? What do you see? Smell. Does the produce, you know, have a wonderful fragrance, a wonderful aroma? But listen to what the farmer has to say. Listen to what people are talking about. And that might be one of the hardest things for people to get over. We don't like to look like we don't know what we're doing. Farmers are really passionate about what they grow, and they love nothing better than to teach. They're so proud of what they do. So over time, if you ask a question they're thrilled to.
She just found out.
So you taste a lot of the food, and that sort of helps you decide whether or not you're going to get it?
Yes.
What else?
You'd be surprised how many people are just kind of like have a little crop of something and are willing to be like, hey, try this.
I think asking questions really, I mean, people are really friendly, the farmers are really friendly, they take their produce very much to heart, and I think asking, you know, really engaging them, asking questions, obviously when they're not too busy, trying to figure out what they have, what they like.
And what they do with something. I mean, if you see something that you don't know, be like, hey, what do you do? Because I mean, they're eating it. You know, so be like, what do you guys make with this, and how do you make it?
Ask questions. Talk to the farmers. You know, don't be afraid to talk to the farmers, even if they're busy. The farmer's going to be very multitasked here, so he might be trying to wait on people. But don't take that as that he's snubbing you. You know, because he wants to answer your question, but he also wants to keep stuff moving there. You might see stuff that you don't recognize. You know, ask what it is and how to use it. You know, a lot of the farmers here will bring stuff that they know that you won't recognize, and they want to tell you about it, and they'll have ideas about it. And even some of the stuff that you do, you know, ask them, now how do you fix it or how do you use it? You know, a lot of these guys, they do home-style cooking, so they might have different ways than you and I would have to cook it up.
And the importance of picking things out seasonally?
That's the very important thing for us farmers, and I think for the consumer, but the consumer doesn't realize it. For example, the peaches and nectarines, you have peaches and nectarines right now. The hard thing for us farmers is that come peach and nectarine season, you're not hungry for peaches and nectarines because you've had them in the grocery store all year long. But what you don't realize is that the peaches and nectarines that you're going to get here, they were picked a lot riper, they traveled a lot less of a distance to get here. They're a lot better fruit than what you had been eating out of season. So one example, one lady was asking me about the avocados, wanting to buy an avocado, but she was reluctant to do so. And I said to her, the last avocado you got was a bad one. And she said yes. And I said, and you got it at the grocery store? And she said yes. Well, it was probably an avocado from Chile or Mexico, because there weren't very many California avocados out at the time. That's what hurts the consumer, and it hurts us because you're not buying them because you think it's a foreign avocado, and it hurts the consumer because you think that all avocados are bad. So realizing your season and buying accordingly is very important for all parties involved.
What tips do you have for them to find the best produce and to make sure that they pick out the right things?
I mean, for me personally, I eat everything. You know, we'll go by every single stand and we'll put something in our mouth, and if it tastes good, we'll buy it.
And you're a pastry chef, so
yes.
do you buy a lot of the ingredients that you're making your pastries from here?
Yeah, we buy all of our fruit and vegetables from the farmer's market. We're a total farmer's market restaurant, so we buy everything here, and we try to change our menu as as often as possible, as often as everybody else is changing.
I think it also helps finding farmers that you really trust. Generally, it's kind of a fun relationship. Find a farmer that you trust, that you know grows their stuff right, and every time they have a new product or they grow something new, the quality tends to be consistent all the way through. So it's kind of, you can kind of play with the farmers, say, what do you have this week? What do you have coming in a couple weeks? I'm planning to do in a couple weeks. You know, what are you going to have by the end of July? What are you going to have in the middle of August? And it gives a lot of inspiration.
When you buy greens, what's the best way to store them and keep it fresh?
Everybody has a different idea. Our idea is to use, just to keep it in the bag that we give to you. I'll show you. Don't pack them too tight. People sometimes make the mistake of like shoving the bag full. They will not keep. They actually like a little oxygen. So we actually fold them so it has a little oxygen in it. The other common mistake, people put them in the crisper. We call that the death zone. But they need to be about 39.2 degrees exactly.
Okay.
If you want to be very precise. Towards the middle or the top of your fridge.
And how long do they typically last? Greens and herbs.
Our produce is so fresh, and we're so local. 5-7 days. I mean,
Great.
the wild arugula I've had, if I don't eat it all up first, I mean, if I go away, 2 weeks. I mean,
Wow.
it's crazy. So the hardier greens will last longer. The more tender red ones have a tendency, because they're so delicate, to go faster.
And what should they be looking for in the greens?
For greens, we try to keep ours from being bruised. The bruising will actually, it'll kick faster if it's bruised. If you want it to smell good, I mean, that's one thing I love about working here. It smells good. If you want it to smell fresh, you can really tell the difference. You don't want them to be too limp, wimpy. That's usually a sign that they've been not traveling well.
You can choose tomatoes that are not quite as ready and leave them on the counter, and they will continue to ripen over a few days, so you can stretch your tomato time in your kitchen. So when if you buy ripe tomatoes, what you're looking for is this great luscious red color, that is if it's a red tomato. Once you refrigerate them, they will lose texture and flavor, and they won't get it back even if you bring them to room temperature. So keep them on the counter. If they're really starting to get soft, make a sauce. Look for tomatoes without any bruising or any nicks. But for instance, I don't really mind. These are sort of things that happen in the garden. That's okay. That's all right. You just won't eat that part.
We'll sharpen their knives. You have a sharpening steel. You don't need a sharpening steel.
Really? What do you use instead?
Every plate, every porcelain plate, the bottom rim is not glazed. It can't be, because when they fire them, they have to sit on something, which is the bottom rim. So if they glaze that bottom rim, it would stick. Okay, so the very bottom rim of a plate is unglazed porcelain, which is exactly what a porcelain steel is. You can take any plate, you turn it over, you rub your knife on it a little bit, it's sharp.
That's a great tip. I like
So
that.
no matter where
and
you
we're not
are.
going to chip our china?
No. You don't hit it, you just rub it.
And I think another thing people are concerned about is food safety. And with this latest tomato scare that just went through, farmers at the farmers markets were actually able to reassure their customers in no uncertain terms that there is no way that our tomatoes are contaminated. And I think that sort of put more of a focus on know who is growing your food and know your producer. And then you build that trust and you come here and really, you know, I mean, the prices here are not, you know, food for less cheap, but what you're getting is you're getting the value of the product itself, and you're also supporting, you know that the dollar you spend here is going right back to that farmer.
Exactly. So tell us a little bit about the health benefits to buying local produce.
Well, you know, it has now been proven that when you grow without a lot of pesticides, when you're very respectful of the land, and when you harvest at peak ripeness and the food is not stored long, it has more nutrients. And you know what? It tastes better.
Yeah. So just to recap, we've talked to a lot of people today. A couple important things to remember. Use your senses. Take a look at the fresh produce. Take a closer look at the fruits and vegetables. Smell them, taste them, and touch them. Using your senses will really help guide you through the market. And overall, just don't be intimidated by it. Have a great time. And to find a local farmers market near you, check out the U.S. Department of Agriculture site. It has a list of all of the farmers markets in your area, just waiting for you to explore. And we'll look forward to seeing you at a market near you.